Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions. Roy Klein, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. Like we talked about before we hit record, everybody has a story. And our passion is to help them tell it. So with your permission, we're going to start with where you were born, go all the way up to today. And then we want to talk about what you're doing with line painting and what an amazing company it is. Will that work?
You bet.
Appreciate you being here, bud. So where were you born?
You know, I was born in Southern California in a fabulous little place called Laguna Niguel.
There you go. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's right, I was really blessed to grow up there. And it's a couple miles from the beach, and spent a lot of years there growing up with a lot of good people. So
that's awesome.
Really blessed.
Growing up there, what was your favorite thing?
Well, I love the beach, and more than anything, I love the water. And it's funny, I now live in Oregon, and you couldn't pay me to get in the water at the beach here. But that's one thing I really do miss more than anything about Southern California is the water, the ocean water.
So you mentioned San Clemente before we hit record. Did you grow up in San Clemente?
Yeah, I grew up in Laguna Niguel and then spent a lot of wasted years of my life in San Clemente.
Where'd you go to high school?
A place called Dana Hills High School.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Home of the Dolphins.
Yeah, I've heard of Dana Hills. That's cool. So in high school, did you have a favorite subject?
I did. It was PE.
Yeah, mine too.
That's really sad.
So who was the most influential person to you growing up?
I would say that would be my oldest brother. He was 10 years older than I. And my father was a good man, but really not connected. So my older brother, John, kind of acted as my surrogate dad. And coached my baseball teams and really set a really good example for me. So
was baseball your favorite sport in high school?
Oh yeah, I love baseball, still do. So
yeah, me too. So after high school at Dana Hills, where do you go?
I spent 7 years in college at a small college called Saddleback College.
I know Saddleback.
I spent all 7 years there getting my 2-year degree.
Did you? Wow.
That was quite impressive.
Took the scenic route, did you?
Yes, I did.
So, little tidbit, kid that I watched grow up, our pastor's oldest son, was actually their starting quarterback his freshman and sophomore years. And I was actually one of their sponsors. I sponsored him the whole time he was growing up. And I actually spent quite a bit of time at Saddleback watching his football games. Yeah. So that's cool. Home of the Gauchos.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So after your brief stint with Saddleback, where'd you go there? Where'd you go after that?
So I had spent a number of years working at the Ritz Carlton Hotel in Laguna Niguel.
Ooh, it's nice. That's
it was a nice place. It was a really great place to work and cut my teeth on how to work with clients because the training at the Ritz Carlton was superb. The key thing there is treating ladies and gentlemen as ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen was the key there. So it really taught me a high level of customer service, and I really enjoyed working there.
That's cool. So you leave the Ritz Carlton Laguna Niguel. Where do you go from there?
I threw everything I owned on a motorcycle, and on January 1st, I drove to Oregon.
Oh my goodness.
And the girl that I wanted to go see up in Oregon is like, "You're leaving on January 1st? You're nuts."
Yeah.
And I said, "It's perfectly sunny here." So, I just was in a bubble. I spent my entire life in Southern California, had no idea that there was weather anywhere. So,
Yeah.
it took me
Well, you found it in Oregon.
it took me over 10 days to get there. It was the worst drive of my entire life.
Whoa.
So yes, I ended up in Oregon, and from there, I took a jaunt up to um, a little fishing town in Alaska and went commercial fishing for a year.
There you
Uh,
go.
Town was called Cordova, uh, one stoplight town, and I spent the year commercial fishing and learning how to work really, really hard.
So what was the number one thing you learned in Cordova?
In Cordova, the fact that any person you might meet could be an actual boat owner. Everybody up there has big long beards and looks like a shaggy fisherman,
Yeah.
and that's what I was at that point. And but what I found out was how to treat people as though you don't know what their position might be in
Yeah.
life. So it was a big learning curve for me up there.
That's cool. So you're up there for a year. What
Mhm.
makes you leave?
A girl.
There's girls woven in this whole thing, isn't there?
Yeah, I was, that's always been my life story. So, but it was a special one, and, I am, currently, married to that girl
There you
and,
go.
have been married for 30 years. So,
Awesome. So am I. Congratulations.
thank you. I married
So
way over my head.
yeah, yeah, I know the feeling. Way over my skis, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you end up leaving Cordova, and do you come back to Oregon?
I did come back to Oregon. My wife's, father, my father-in-law, we were not married yet, and I had, thought about going back up. I was asked to come back up to Cordova again,
Yeah.
and my girlfriend at the time, my wife, says, "Well, did you ever think you were gonna die up there?" I go, every day.
Mm,
Well, how much money did you make? And, I thought I had made a whole lot of money, and she
mm,
went through a math lesson with me and said, "Okay, well, how many hours did you work?" I'd say 12, 14, and she said, "Okay, we'll do 10." How many days a week? 7. Okay, well, we'll do 6. And, she did this math equation with me, and she said, "Well, you made a dollar 10 an hour."
mm,
And you felt like you were going to, die every day you were up there. And,
mm,
it was a really great experience, but I really kind of thought, wow, that experience, yeah, I came home with some money,
yeah.
uh, but the amount of work that went in there was pretty substantial. And so she says, I could probably talk to my dad, and he might get you in to work at the paint store. I'm like, paint store? I have no idea what paint is.
Right.
And but they're paying this much an hour, and I'm like, "Well, I'll give it a go." So
Right.
so that's what I did. I started working behind the counter at a little local, paint manufacturer in Oregon called Miller Paint,
Mhm.
and, I really enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and, so I spent that summer, uh, working behind the counter as an hourly employee, and I thought, I could really, do this, but I gotta get out of the store. I gotta do something outside. I can't
Right.
sit down the whole time. So
Yeah. You go stir crazy in there too
I
long.
was I was like a
Yeah.
Labrador caged up. So, um, uh, uh, I ended up, uh, seeing what it would take to become what they call an outside salesman,
Mhm.
and I had to learn my stuff and let people know I was interested in that, and I got a lot of guidance from my father-in-law, and he didn't give me any job except that first one. He made me go out and work my ass off for everything else, and
Yeah.
he said, "If you really want it, you got to let them know that you're willing to move for it."
Right.
And sure enough, that's what happened. they said, "Hey, there's a territory in Salem." I said, "I'm your guy. Send me out there." So they did, and I got into selling paint and working with painting contractors and having relationships, and that's how I built my territories. And I once that happened, we ended up getting married. So my wife moved down to Salem with me, and I spent the next 10 years selling paint for Miller Paint, and got moved up into the Beaverton, Portland area, and really did quite well there for a long time. It was a really enjoyable job for me. So that brought me into Portland selling paint
Mm-hmm.
for quite some time. And that led to my father-in-law asked me if I'd consider going into business with him and buying a paint store. So we bought a couple paint stores from Benjamin Moore.
Oh, I've heard of them. Yeah.
And at the time, Benjamin Moore had never sold any of their holdings. So what would happen is a paint store would be in business for a decade, and then suddenly no one was there to run it, or they ran into some hard times, and Benjamin Moore would take over these stores and run them out of New Jersey. And
Wow.
it didn't work really well.
No, that's difficult to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clear
So
on the other side of the country, right?
yeah, so they realized that with these stores in Eugene, and they actually hunted down my father-in-law, who had left and retired from Miller Paint, and said, "Hey, would you consider taking over some of these stores?" And so myself and him and his son decided to do that. So we bought these paint stores and started running them, and that led to me opening another one of these stores up in Portland, and from scratch. You know, we opened the Portland one from scratch, and built that store into literally the biggest, largest paint store in Portland in a matter of 5 years or so.
Wow.
I took over that store completely and said, "You guys handle the Eugene stores, I'll handle Portland." So I had, took over that corporation, had to start or had to dissolve a partnership, start a new corporation, and ran that paint store for a decade. And so that was my first entrepreneurial experience, so to say.
Yeah.
So that went real good. We went through until the crash hit. That was very difficult. We went from being a $1.5 million store to about an $800,000 store. So we took a big hit there.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, but we managed to build that back up, and I said, "That's it. I got to get out of here." I found someone to buy it, and I sold it. So that led me to the opportunity to get out of the rain, and we elected to come over the mountain into Bend, Oregon.
Yeah. So when you say get out of the rain, does that mean Bend is drier?
It's much drier. Yeah.
Okay.
It's what they call the high desert. So it's about 4,000 feet. It's, literally, we probably get 300 days of sunshine a year.
Yeah. See, I didn't know that happened in Oregon. To me, it's like a Pineapple Express all the time, right?
Oh, yep. But there's a mountain range there.
Gotcha. So that's what collects a lot of the moisture and that kind of thing. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's a sloppy mess on one side of the mountain. On the other side, it's dry.
Oh, that's cool. That's
does
cool. And I hear Bend is gorgeous.
Oh, it's lovely, and it's small. It reminds me of growing up in Southern California before it got nutty. And back
when it was smaller,
yeah, much smaller.
So you go to Bend, and what do you do there?
A lot. I had a lot of job changes. I was asked to open up a PPG paint store here. That was they had never opened a store here, so I did that. They had promised me a couple things if I would get that store going, because that wasn't what my long-term goal was. I said, I don't want to run another paint store. Give me something better to do here. So, so I did that and got that going. And long story short, I had to leave. And I was approached by another franchise called Five Star Painting, who is a competitor of line painting throughout the nation. And I was asked to run that territory for them here in Central Oregon. So I did. I used to think, what kind of nincompoop would want to own a franchise and give away that much profit right over the top? Coming from my corporate background, it just didn't make sense to me.
Right.
But it allowed me to coordinate with people on a one-on-one basis, build off of a lot of the connections that I currently have in the paint business. And I really knocked it out of the park. So I was doing it for an absentee owner out of Portland and running this territory for a couple of years. And I had asked him if he would sell to me, because he owned 5 of them. I said, hey, will you sell me Central Oregon? He goes, nope. I go, well, are you sure? So over the course of about 6 months, I had asked if he would sell to me, and he absolutely said no. So I thought, well, maybe I'll start looking. And I had known or figured out this Five Star franchise and how it worked. And, so I started looking into what it would take to get another territory of my own. But every territory was quite a ways away. It was back in Portland or Salem or Washington. The territory I would want, they were gone. So I started searching for some other franchises, and there's about 6 painting franchises, and I really started investigating them all. So I spent about 6 months looking into all of these franchises, and I thought there has to be one that kind of more lies in the values that I have and the customer service background that I have, and the real high-end Benjamin Moore customer that I'm accustomed to, that aren't afraid to pay for quality. And it was, to me, it was a divine orchestration that I came across line painting. And I did a little research on them, and I'm like, I picked up the phone and I just called them. And I, to this day, do not know who I talked to. It's not a huge company, but on that day, I said, I got a question. How come you don't have anybody in Oregon at all? There's nobody. And they said, well, we just haven't found the right partner. I thought that's exactly what I thought. I said, well, who is your right partner? And I asked that question. They kind of gave me some response, and I said, I would like to talk to you more. Is there who should I talk to? And they connected me with Nick Lopez, who's the actual founder, and we just discussed some things. And he's like, Roy, it's very rare that we run into somebody that has paint knowledge, and you're, it's gooey on you. So would you, if we paid for you to come out to Colorado, would you come out and talk with me and our team? I said, I would. So that's how it all started. Once I got there, like I said, it was such a perfect hand in glove fit for me that I turned around and went, oh my gosh, I got to talk to my wife about this, because this is just too much. So.
Well, I know that feeling. I owned one franchise in my life, and it was an absolute fit. And it was one of those things where the most important thing to me was their values and how they felt about the world, and how they felt about our business and that type of thing. And and we were in line. I mean, we were completely in line with our values, with how we looked at things, and I owned it for 18 years.
Wow.
So it was an amazing experience. I have quite an extensive background in franchising. Franchising is what made us move from Oklahoma to California. My dad was with Mako
Oh,
Auto
no kidding.
Painting,
Yeah.
right? And I got a chance to get to know Tony Martino while my dad was working for him. Um, Fascinating guy, absolute fascinating guy, king of franchising. He created Amco, sold it to Pennzoil for $12 million cash, and then ended up creating Mako. So Amco became the number one franchisor of transmission shops in the world. Mako became number one in body shops.
Wow.
So everything this man touched turned into franchise gold, you know. So I learned a ton from him. And I sort of always knew that I'd own a franchise. I didn't realize it'd be a real estate franchise, but it was amazing experience. So I know how you feel when you find that match. It's like, wow, you know,
Yeah.
because you have an extensive background doing this, which I did too, and not everybody's a fit. You know,
Yeah.
not everybody that you talk to, whether it be Benjamin Moore or whatever, not everybody you talk to is a fit. And um, that's so awesome that you found that. I'm really happy for you. So you meet with Nick Lopez
Mhm.
and you start with line painting. How long ago was that?
Less than a year ago.
Oh, okay. Okay. So this is fairly fresh then. Okay.
Yeah, it actually, when I met him, it was probably March of last year even.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Okay.
and the not um, the vision that Nick presents in line painting is was such a good fit that I came home and talked to my wife about it and laid out, even the acronym LIME. It stands for love, integrity, mission, and excellence. You know, it's just
Oh,
it's
that's what's up behind your head. Okay. I
yes,
got you.
and that's the overreaching umbrella of who we are as a company. And I'm a very uh, uh, I'm very involved in my church.
Mhm.
Uh, I teach the Bible. I'm very biblically oriented. And I just came home and said to my wife, I said, honey, there are so many things that correspond biblically to how we present ourselves in this, how this company presents itself. You
Right.
know, they're not um, uh, uh, forcibly pointing any kind of faith or religion on anybody. It's just based on biblical
Principles.
concept,
Yeah.
yeah, principles, and
Yeah.
I just so resonated with that. I kind of explained it to her, and I go, "What do you think?" And she goes, "Well, what are you waiting for? Let's just do it."
Yeah.
Um, and it wasn't a flippant choice at all because I'm very frugal.
Mhm.
Uh, I do not. I'm a. Both my parents are from Holland. I'm uh, 100% Dutch, and I uh, I do not like debt, so I
Mhm.
want to do everything at the speed of cash. So it was a, I just, it was my pocketbook moving forward, but I was shoving my pocketbook in his back pocket and I said, let's do this. So
Yeah.
it's been a real good team. They have super good support back at the home office in Colorado, but they let me do things the way I want to do them under their umbrella.
Mhm.
And it's just been a real treat for me, and I can't say enough about it.
That's awesome. So with Lyme, are you or do you have a region? Are you how does your position work?
Yeah, I strictly have Central Oregon, so
Okay.
it's a rather small territory. It's a what about 100,000 people? Uh,
Mhm.
so and it's kind of landlocked. You know, it's a ways from Portland, and it's a couple hours away from Eugene and Salem.
Mhm.
So there's nothing east. and not a lot south, not a lot north. So it's very isolated, but that's my territory. That's the franchise I purchased, and but it's a very, very good territory.
Mhm. So are you actually painting houses, or are you what are you doing with Lime?
Yeah, so I run the entire operation. I don't have there's a Lime has um a playbook, so to say, of how they would like their territories run
Mhm.
with the owner operator, with a manager, with a different pieces of that puzzle.
Mhm.
Uh, but I do everything myself. Uh, Up until last month, I didn't even have an employee. So we paint houses. But we're much more than that. We kind of do home maintenance on luxury um, homes, custom homes.
Mhm.
So we hit a target market of $1 million homes plus, and we take care of them.
Mhm.
Whether that's replacing their gutters, whether that's coating their concrete surfaces, or painting of the interior and exterior of the houses. And the model of uh, Lime is to have qualified, licensed subcontractors
Right.
that we work with. So
So it's pretty much anything you need. If you have a house that you currently own that, that needs to be sealed, or needs,
yeah,
gutters, whatever, right?
yep.
Basically, they call you and they can get what they need done for that house.
Yeah, we specialize in painting and coatings, but we do everything, like I said, from gutters. I just finished a big flooring job.
There you
Uh,
go.
Also, we did some carpet tiles in a commercial application. We do drywall. We do repair. Literally anything that you might need on the house. I have a mason. So literally anything that a homeowner might need uh, maintained is the
Right.
best way I put it, because maintenance is far less expensive than replacement.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
and that goes for virtually all of those things. So Lime has a good 20, I think 29 different things they do for a house. So
Oh, that's cool.
and I've expanded that to tile countertops, virtually remodeling stuff without being I am a general contractor, but
Right.
I don't uh, play out to be a general contractor.
I got you. I got you. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you?
This is one of the funniest things is I was just telling somebody last night because he asked about my truck, which is quite vibrantly green,
Oh, yeah.
and
Like your shirt?
yeah, and the logo for Lime is really well done,
Yeah.
and one of the points that we have on our vehicles is a hashtag get limed.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm an old guy,
Mhm.
I'm getting up there, and I'm like,
I am too, yeah.
I don't even know what a hashtag is,
Right.
it's a phone signal. so, so this guy's like, what's up with the hashtag get limed? I said, I just found out last week that if I go to my mobile phone and put in hashtag get limed, my business comes up in Central Oregon. Even though there's 50 some odd other lime paintings throughout the country, it's isolated to zip codes and where you place that in. And
Wow.
I'm like, that is brilliant.
Yeah. So where do you put it in your phone?
You literally go to Google and hit hashtag get limed and hit send, and it pops up the website.
Oh, wow, okay. Wow. I'll have to
I had
try
no
that when we
idea.
get off yeah, that's crazy. That is really cool. I like that.
But yeah, we're I answer my own phone for
Yeah.
most things, so I don't have a problem publishing my direct phone number in there, and
Yeah.
uh, people reach out to me that way all the time.
Yeah,
So
that's cool. That's cool. Is there anything else you'd like to cover before we wrap up?
No, man, this has been fun.
Yeah.
I don't talk about myself very often.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're about, though. We're
Yeah.
about you talking about yourself because you have a unique story, right? And my goodness, what a amazing background you have in the paint business, right? And then how you ended up meeting Nick Lopez and coming to work with Lime and all that kind of thing. I think that's an amazing story. And the beautiful thing about this is if you have anybody out there that wants to get to know you, right, as like a potential customer, that kind of thing, you can just send them a link to this program.
Oh, nice.
Right? It's a nice little infomercial for Roy, right? Thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience, Roy. This has been fun.
Hey, it has been fun on my end as well.
Take care, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.